Today is Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, and I'm back. I'm back, and I have my little microphone, which I even put the little filter on it so I don't sound too terrible. And hopefully it works. Hopefully we sound good. Hopefully I connected the right microphone, or else this is gonna be very sad for the next like 30 minutes. But I was thinking about doing this podcast for a while, and I feel like I just had a lot of thoughts about it today, and I was like, you know what? Let me just sit down and record it, and I'm even going to post this on YouTube. And it was this idea that I was thinking of. It was kind of going back to a poem that I had written about, like, I'm going to be single forever. Now I know how that may sound, like, but I don't mean it in that way. I believe love will be found, but still single overall. I mean, I'm kind of stuck with just me, an individual in a partnership, because through my eyes, he will never see. Wow, I'm actually surprised that I remembered that much of it. But I feel like now that I'm 26, I've started to get a lot of those like hindsight 2020 moments of, oh, that's why that happened, or oh, that's why it makes sense why that didn't happen, or why that worked out, or why that didn't work out. And I think it's very difficult when you are going through things for the first time to be able to think about it in that way. And I just keep thinking back to the last, I don't even know, like the last 5 years, 6 years, and how much I've changed, not only as a person, but also as a friend, as a potential future partner to someone, like as a daughter, as a sister. Like, there's so many things that once they happen to you, you don't really go back to how you were before. And I don't mean that in like a, oh, this bad thing happened and now I'm never going to be the same, but even good things sometimes, like certain responsibilities, once you hold them, you can't really go back to a time when you didn't have that responsibility or when you were ignorant, I guess. And I say that because I have been thinking a lot about this concept, and you guys know I write a lot of love poems, and it's something that I think about a lot, and I think it almost scares me to, now that I've been single for so long, just imagining a life with another person and what that would mean for me. And I love watching like all those couple videos, and I love seeing people in love, and I love how healthy love can seem, but part of me also just doesn't believe that it would happen to me, which is so sad. And I don't know why I feel that way necessarily, but I think it's just a mixture of like bad experiences slash my own comfort, in the sense of I feel comfortable being alone, and I value that more than I feel like I would value the discomfort of starting a relationship. But I also know that that isn't true, and I probably only feel that way because maybe I haven't found someone that makes the discomfort feel worth it to me, I guess. And I really wanted to find this diary entry that I wrote when I was living in DC so I could share it with you guys, but I couldn't find my diary for some reason. Estrella and I were looking everywhere. But essentially, I want to walk you guys through a day that I had that I remember really vividly because of how peaceful it felt for me. And it was one of those times where I felt really peaceful on my own, which hadn't happened frequently at that point. Like I would say that was one of the first moments. Not Estrella like getting the zoomies behind me. That's so funny. But to set the scene, when I was living in DC, I would take the train all the time. I would take the metro, love of my life. I would take the red line. So on a way, like if I tell you guys this, it would be cute if you guys also get to experience it if you're from the area, because it's one of my favorite days and one of my favorite dates to take myself on. So I would take the metro all the time. So I started getting in the habit of whenever I wanted to take myself on a date, I would take the metro to DuPont Circle. And I would take the metro to DuPont Circle. And then if you've ever been there, if you haven't been there, there's, jeez. Estrella's like, I haven't been there. There's a really long escalator. There's like two sets of escalators. So you get off the metro, you go up one set of escalators, and then you swipe your metro card, and then there's this really long second set of staircases or escalators. And I remember whenever I was on that second set of escalators, I would just like contemplate everything that was going on in that moment in my life because it was so long. And it was like this tunnel that you, Estrella's cracking me up. It's just running around. It was just this like tunnel that you will merge out of. And it's just like dark, 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 dark. And then there's this burst of light, and all of a sudden you're in the city. And if you were coming from like, somewhere else like Maryland, like suddenly you were in Maryland and now you're in DC. And it's just, it was beautiful. Like I remember the first time I was just speechless at how beautiful it was to like, I don't know, like it felt so symbolic to me for some reason. And so I would go to DuPont Circle. I would get out at DuPont Circle, and there's two sort of entrances and exits. And I would get out by the one that was by the Krispy Kreme, I want to say. And what I would do is I would walk to Georgetown. And the walk to Georgetown is like 30 minutes. But if you walk from DuPont to Georgetown, you kind of go in this straight line. And I would pass this secondhand bookstore and I would stop by there and I would just look at all the books and I would find the romance novels that I hadn't read yet that I wanted to read and I would buy them and I would just spend so much time there and then I would continue on walking and I would just have my headphones in like romanticizing my life. I would walk all the way down and there would be like a gas station and once you pass the gas station there was this beautiful bridge and you could see like a church to the right and the weather was not like this day, the weather was so nice. The skies were clear. And I was just listening to, I don't even remember what I was listening to, but it was just music that made me feel good. Like that's that sort of vibe. Oh, I was listening to Pretty Woman. And I was listening to Pretty Woman because I remember, I don't remember if it was, I was listening to Pretty Woman on the way back. This is a terrible storytelling. I'm sorry, guys. But I would be walking. There was a church, gas station, bridge. You cross the bridge and there's all this foliage and there was like a park and you could also see the highway, but the highway was so far away, like it didn't even feel that you were close to it. You couldn't even really hear it. And then you continue on and you go into this park and it's such a beautiful area and you keep walking and then you start to feel like you're in Georgetown, like you start to see the brick buildings. There's like tennis courts and another little park and then you emerge and it's like the really busy Georgetown street. And I would start going to different bookstores there. And what I would do is I would get a book or two, and then I would walk all the way to the waterfront. So I would like go get a coffee, go to the waterfront, and then I would be sitting by the waterfront. And I love the water, like something about me. Maybe it's because I'm a water sign, but the water just makes me feel so calm in a way that nothing else can. Like whether it be swimming in the ocean or being by a lake or being by the waterfront, it grounded me in such a beautiful way. And this day I had brought my diary. And usually I type a lot of my writing, but sometimes I do like to write like with pen or pencil, usually with pen. And so I was writing this diary entry because I tried to make a diary entry like every month or so. And this specific diary entry, I was writing as a letter to my future kids. And I went super in depth about how the day looked like, how I felt, what the weather was like, what I was seeing around me. And I even put what time it was, where I was, all of that, and what I was feeling at the time. And I remember I was writing it knowing that somebody else would read it when usually when I write things, I just write it, at least in my diary, as if I'm the only person that's ever gonna read it. And I was trying to kind of extract the advice that I would give from the experiences that I'm currently living. So it was almost like having to be my future self to give present me advice, but I was also trying to give like my future kids advice on how I would do things. And I would say that was one of the first times, like I said, that I was feeling comfortable alone and I was like, oh wow, I brought myself here. I didn't wait for anyone else to come with me. I didn't take anybody else with me. I'm just here by myself. Like I can stay however long I want. I can leave whenever I want. If I want to go get myself dinner, I think I did probably go get myself dinner. And it was just so comforting to be in my own presence like that. And for so long, I had thought that you needed somebody else to feel that way. And once you get that sense of security from yourself, it's really hard to put yourself in an insecure position, which I think is something that I'm really struggling with. Not like actively struggling with, but it's something that I recognize could be difficult to navigate because I'll put myself in situations where I want to get to know someone, but then I'm also like hesitant to fully let myself be known because of just experiences that I've had in the past. And even just thinking of the way that I view like dating now versus how I viewed dating when I was like 21 or 23, it's so different in that. Like, I'll still get nervous for a first date. Sure, like everybody gets nervous for a first date, but I don't feel like I'm playing a part anymore. And I don't think I even knew that I felt that way until now when I don't feel like I have to be acting all perfect or like I'm somebody else to be liked. I can just be who I am. And if I'm liked, great. And if not, great. Like, my life will continue on. It'll be whatever. There are plenty more fish in the sea, hopefully. Um, but it's one of those things that because I value my alone time more than I value a romantic relationship right now, it doesn't hurt me to the same extent that it did when I was younger. Because I think when I was younger, I was so insecure. I didn't have that foundation within myself to feel comfortable doing things alone that I felt I needed to have somebody else. And if that person didn't need me, I felt worthless. I felt like, why don't they need me? Like, why don't they feel this way about me? I really like them. Why don't they like me? And it was just this constant state of overthinking and checking if they had texted me or checking if they had thought about me. And I always needed that validation in a sense. And I think that's not an unusual thing to want or expect from someone you are romantically involved with, but I think it's just a really difficult position to put a stranger in or to put even someone that you've been talking to or been dating when you're not being fully honest with them, slash slash those reactions are stemming from your own insecurities and they don't understand that. You don't understand that. There's a lot of miscommunication that's happening and confusion. So I think that's really difficult. But I think something that I've recognized more and more as I get older, and maybe you recognize this already and like you're younger, and if you do, you're better than me because it took me a while. But something that I've recognized is even if I was, say, in this perfect relationship, like there's no way somebody is gonna, because, okay, let's put it this way. I'm 26 now. Say, tonight I walk out my door, meet my perfect person, husband, great. He will have missed 26 years of my life, assuming that it's someone that I'm just meeting, right? He will have missed 26 years of my life that is now up to me to either explain or for him to try to understand and learn. And I think that's a really, like, we expect it to happen so fast, but there's so many idiosyncrasies that we have and so many toxic and healthy traits that we've collected that we may not even know until we know, until they manifest in the way we react or the way we text or the way we overthink. And I think it's when I was younger, I had this expectation of, the perfect person will be perfect in that they know everything about you and that you don't have to explain a lot. They'll just understand you. And I think there's still some relevance in that, in the case that, yes, somebody will understand you without you having to explain everything about you, but they should still also want to get to know you. And they should be curious about who you've been the last 26 years and what you've done and all these wonderful stories and maybe even not so wonderful stories that have turned you into the person that you've become. And I think so often what I've experienced now is that somebody will just see me at 26, see my present self, and feel like that's all I am without recognizing that that is not who I have always been, slash who I may always want to be. And there's this great disconnect And it's not even always miscommunication because I feel like I've been in situations where somebody may overly communicate to the point where I might feel uncomfortable because I'm like, we're not at that place yet where I feel comfortable telling you my deep dark secrets or all my trauma, you know? Not that I have deep dark secrets, but you know, it's like I'm not comfortable telling this person something really traumatic that happened to me just because they think I'm cute or just because I've gone on a couple dates with them. And maybe that says more about that situation than I know at the time. But there have also been people that I open up to pretty fast just because they might have also experienced something similar. Or they might be telling me something similar, and I'm like, oh, you do understand. And I feel comfortable and safe telling you this. But the older I get, the more private I become, not only of like what I'm doing day to day, but I feel like also Estrella. Estrella is so funny. But also in my own likes and my own enjoyment in terms of I don't feel the need to say what I'm doing all the time or to say what I have done, and I don't need that validation in the same way that I did before because I just that external validation that I so desperately craved was really just internal validation that I needed. And it never filled me up because it was never going to. No matter how many times somebody said, "Oh, like you're so pretty or you're so successful or whatever, whatever." Because that wasn't what I needed, it was never going to do anything for me. Did it feel nice to hear? Sure. Of course. Like it feels wonderful to get complimented, but it doesn't sink in the way you need it to because you don't fully believe it yourself. And that could go for so many things, right? Like even if you are in a relationship and somebody's treating you so wonderfully and you feel like they love you, if you don't necessarily, if you're not able to internalize that, it won't feel that way regardless of how hard they are loving you. And I feel like I've often been on the other end of that, like not necessarily now, maybe I'm the more avoidant one, but I think I've been the more anxious one in terms of like attachment styles, in that I'll give so much love and care for someone, and I get really frustrated that they still don't feel loved or that they still don't feel confident. And I almost blame myself of like, oh, like maybe I should be doing more, like maybe I should be doing something differently, but it's not you at all. And there comes a time where you do have to take a step back and be like, you know what, I can't love you the way you need to be loved because you need to find that within yourself. And it's a really difficult thing to do, to walk away in those moments because you almost feel like you're making it worse of, oh, this person needs to be loved. Why am I not going to love them? But in those times, that in itself is an act of love, of being able to recognize like, hey, this person doesn't need to be in a relationship right now. This person does not need me in their life right now. They need themselves and they need to surround themselves with people that make them feel like them. And if it is a stranger, like if you yourself are meeting them at that point in their life where they don't know who they are, they also feel like who you love is not actually them. And that's also something that's important to recognize. And it is easy to feel frustrated in those moments because you're like, oh, but like I do know this person, or like we've been getting to know each other for so long. Like, how could I not know them? But it really isn't you. And I think that's difficult to internalize when you're so used to blaming yourself for things. But there's a lot of maybe peace isn't the right word, but there is a lot of maturity that is required to recognize a situation for what it is and not for what you want it to be. And it's difficult. It is definitely very difficult. And even me saying that, like, I've struggled with it in the past of, you know, like if something's unrequited or if you really want something to happen for you and it won't happen, like this opportunity that you want just won't be presented to you. It can be very frustrating. But then I think it also leaves ample opportunity for growth in a way that you didn't expect. Because had things occurred the way that maybe we so desperately wanted, it wouldn't have been good for us. And in those moments, maybe we don't know what's best for ourselves because we just become very engrossed in what could be and what we think should be and who we think we should be. And it's just interesting to see how many lives you live in such a short amount of time. Like I feel like from the time that I've graduated high school to now, so much has happened. I've grown so much, and it's this beautiful thing to witness. And I wouldn't say like, oh, I found myself or whatever, because I think, we change all the time and there's so much discovery and rediscovery that occurs with growing older. And I think that's just so beautiful that we can change. And maybe people might not want us to change. Maybe somebody really wants you to stay who they want you to be. But in the same way, that almost helps you understand when you have those moments of like, oh, like, why is this person doing this? Or why are they this way? Like, we can't make people who we want them to be. People can't make us who they want us to be. And that's okay. Like, that's life. That's individuality. That's humanity. There's so much nuance and so much context that we're not always aware of. And even if you watch like movies or read books, like I was listening actually, I was listening to this audiobook that was A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, I think that's the name. And one of the characters got really mad at something, like they were arguing and the character just kind of like exploded and started yelling. And it didn't seem like that was appropriate to me. I was like, I wonder why that character did that. Like, why are they exploding for something that isn't that, like, it wasn't even related to them in a sense. And then later on, once they calmed down, a couple days later, they were explaining how somebody in their family had experienced like some really bad mental health issues and how they were reminded of that with that situation. And that was why they exploded in the way that they did, because they felt like they should have seen certain signs or that they should have done things differently with their family. And they didn't want the same thing to happen now with this person that they're falling in love with. And I was like, wow, like there's just so much context that we don't know unless somebody tells us. And it's also really hard to express ourselves when we may not know why we are reacting the way that we are reacting. And there have been times where, like, say, I feel uncomfortable about something and it isn't even necessarily that somebody else like outwardly wanted to make me uncomfortable, but it's just maybe too similar to a situation that I've been in. Or maybe like there have even been moments where somebody might have the same cologne as like somebody that I don't necessarily want to see in my life anymore. And I'll just get nauseous and I'll feel bad. And I'll be like, oh my God, like, why do I feel this way? Like, this person's my friend. And then I'll realize later on, like, oh, it was the same cologne. And it just reminded me of like whoever other person. And it's just, you have to have so much grace with yourself and so much patience with yourself. And that's the only way that we can really be patient with other people too, because you have to have that empathy of, oh, maybe there's more than meets the eye, or maybe these experiences have shaped me differently than how I thought they did. Because I'm trying to think of an example to give here. Let's see. Okay. I think an example that I have to give is when I was in college, I had like a certain friend group, and when I was friends with them, I was like, these people are my family. Like, I love them so much. Like, and I had so much deep respect for them and so much love for them. But I myself was very, very insecure at that time. And I just kept feeling like if I wasn't who they wanted me to be, that they didn't want to be my friend anymore. And so I put myself in a lot of situations where I didn't necessarily want to. I didn't want to be in them. And I think if I had had a better sense of self, I may not necessarily have been friends with the people that I was friends with, just because in my head I was like, they're so similar to me. But then later on I'm like, oh, we actually don't have a lot in common at all. And they actually might not make me feel like I can get closer to who I want to be, if that makes sense. And it's not like, I think for some people, that aspect of it was almost like, oh, I want to have so and so connections. Like, I need a network with so and so people. For me, it was more so like, how do I want to feel emotionally? Where do I want to get to emotionally? And for me, I just wanted stability. I just wanted safety. I just wanted calmness. And at that point, my anxiety was really, really bad. And that isn't even the worst that my anxiety's ever been, but it was just so hard to feel like I belonged. And I remember so many times I just wanted to go home. And because I was so far away in the East Coast, I just felt so alone. And I would really cling to anything that made me feel like I was home. Ugh, not the subtle rhyme. And I guess in my eyes, I was like, that has to mean the people that I started school with and that I was friends with initially, regardless of how I feel. Because I was like, if I'm not friends with my friends, I'm not going to be friends with anyone. Versus now when I'm older, I have a really wonderful set of friends from all different areas of my life. It isn't just one fixed friend group per se, but something that I've noticed is even though I adore my friends, love my friends, there are moments where I'm like, hey, I really just need a night to myself. Like I really just want to like sit on my couch and watch a movie by myself. Like, can we just hang out another time? Like, is that cool? I probably never would have said that in college. I would have just forced myself to do whatever made me uncomfortable, whether it be go to a party, whether it be go out to a dinner that I was scared I wouldn't be able to afford. And I'm like, you know what? Like, it's just people that love you and people that want the best for you will try to understand you. And I think you also get better at voicing how you're feeling and setting your boundaries the older you get. And I think that's in a sense because maybe your boundaries have been crossed in ways that you didn't want them to be when you were younger. So before, you might not have known where your boundaries were. But now, as you get older, you're like, oh, that made me feel uncomfortable. I don't think I would want to do that again. Or, oh, um, that was cool. Like, that made me feel fine. So I don't mind if that happens again. Like, what's a good example to give? This is gonna be super random, but I just saw something about this of like kissing on the first date versus like holding hands or something like that. But like I probably wouldn't kiss someone on a first date just because I would feel like I don't know that person. That seems like very intimate to me. I don't think I would like it necessarily. You know, all power, nothing against kissing on the first date, but I think me personally, I would need to feel more comfortable with someone to do that. So, but then it's like holding hands, like, oh yeah, sure. If somebody held my hand, I'd be like, "Ah, whatever, like we're holding hands." I mean, like not whatever. I'd be like, oh, we're holding hands. But I don't see it like that wouldn't cross a boundary in the same way that say someone like randomly kissing me would. You know what I mean? So I think because I've had certain experiences like that before, where I'm like, oh, like I don't think I like that. You learn about yourself through those experiences. And same thing like with foods, right? Like you could think you really hate a food and then you try it and you're like, oh wait, I actually really like this. And the example I'm thinking of is coconut water. When me and my siblings tried coconut water, we tried it once when it was warm. I don't know why. We tried warm coconut water and it was not good. Like I hated it. And then I tried it again when it was like refrigerated and there was like lime in it and it was delicious. And I was like, this is the best thing of my entire life. Where have you been all my life? And so I think you just have to let yourself learn and let yourself grow and also kind of accept that nobody's going to know you the way that you know you. And even though, of course, you can ask for advice from people, and of course, you can like hear other people's perspective on things or how maybe they're doing their life, nobody will have the exact same experiences that you have slash will have. And there comes a time where you really just it's you v you. It's you with you. You need to have a little conference meeting with yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, like, who am I? What do I like? What do I dislike? And it doesn't happen one day where you're just like, oh, this is what I know. It happened. It kind of creeps up on you of those experiences where you're like, oh, I didn't really like that. Or, oh, hey, like, I did like that. That made me feel safe. And then one day you just look back and you're like, oh, I've really learned a lot, even though it didn't feel like it at the time. And I don't know, all that to say, like, I'm very grateful for those moments where I've kind of been forced to be alone because now it lets me choose to be alone. And I think that's really beautiful to feel comfortable in your own skin and to feel comfortable as you are, because I think it'll also make it easier to let people get to know you. And now when somebody wants to get to know me, like I do have a sense of who I am, what I like, what I don't like, who I want to be. And maybe that'll change. I expect that to change. But there's certain values that now that I hold, like I hope I continue for the rest of my life, like I want to give back to my community for the rest of my life. Like I don't think that's going to change. I don't see that changing at all. I want to be a good person at the end of the day. Like, and so certain things you kind of carry forever, but then maybe like certain little things is like the value of a romantic relationship to me now is maybe not what it was when I was 20. And that's not bad. It's just different. Versus if you were to ask me, like, I don't know, 10 years from now and I'm married, I might have a very different answer. And I might say, like, oh, the value I hold for a romantic relationship is very high because of whatever, if I have kids or, whatever it may be. And I'm really happy that I get to immortalize this version of me in that I've been able to document so much through not only these podcasts, but through my poems and so many feelings and emotions. And now when I look back on certain poems that I've written and I read them again or I re-record them, I can still put myself in the shoes of how I felt when I wrote them and also recognize that I don't feel that way anymore. And that's just very powerful and very beautiful. And it gives me a lot of hope. So if you're going through something, I just hope that this episode maybe helps a little bit. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really, really, really like appreciate you guys more than you could ever know. It's been such an honor to, I don't know, get to be a safe space not only for me, but for so many of you to feel like you can be who you are. And yeah, like you're all wonderful. Just don't forget that. Don't let anyone make you feel differently about that. And there will be plenty of people that might want to bring you down, but there's also so many people that want to bring you up and help you and care about you and love you and will continue to love you and all the versions of you that will exist, and they will be very lucky to get to know them. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I will probably post this tonight. So, if you hear this and you like it, please share it. And if you don't know yet, my new book, A Magnificently Ordinary Romance, is out now. It's in bookstores, it's online. And yeah, if you see it in a bookstore, please, please, please send me a picture. Or if you purchase it and you love it, take a picture, mention me in it. I'm trying to repost as many as I can. But yeah, I never in my entire life would have believed that this all could happen. And that almost makes me sad for myself of, oh, like I wanted it so bad, but why couldn't I believe that it would happen? And now that it's happening, I'm just like letting it happen. And I'm just like, oh, like this is so nice. And I don't have that. I wrote a poem once of like I have this pit in my stomach whenever things start going well because it's seeing I things are about to change, like, and I can already tell, but I can just let things be what they are. And your support means so much to me. And my support to myself has definitely improved drastically in the last couple years. And I'm just really proud of, oh, this is like so savvy. It's like I'm really proud of the woman that I've been kind of pushing myself to become because there's been so many instances where I've just been scared or anxious, or maybe people have made me feel like I need to change. And there have been so many moments where I'm like, nah, fuck that. And it's whether I knew that it was going to work out or not, there were just so many moments where I trusted myself. And it's beautiful. Like, I'm going to cry, but it's your future self is definitely rooting for you in ways that you don't even know, whether it be through rejections or through changes of plan or through failed friendships or failed relationships. And I think so much is working in our favor that we have no idea about. At least that's what I like to think. I'm a very optimistic, hopeful person. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. And I hope it felt like a warm hug. And if you're listening to this on a long walk, or if you are listening to this on the walk to Georgetown to be by the waterfront, or if you're sitting at the waterfront right now, or if you're sitting anywhere like at a park or something, just take in the moment and recognize how far you've come. And I think sometimes it's really easy to forget that when we're constantly thinking about the next step or what we have to achieve or how we need to change. Like, I think just take a moment, take a breath, and give yourself a mental hug and realize that, you've done a lot, you have changed, you will continue to change, and that's okay. And change is a beautiful thing. And I'm proud of you. Even if you don't feel proud of you right now, I'm proud of you. And yeah, I just lot of sappy feelings. And I'm very, very grateful. So incredibly, incredibly grateful. And I'm excited to see what changes and how we grow. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. I love you all so, 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 so much. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. Bye.